Hello, welcome again to How to Deal with a Toxic Boss live stream. I'll go through some of the things which we've already discussed, but I think it would be interesting to point them out again. I decided to do a special coverage for this topic, a special coverage on its own, because you definitely know why. Because a bad manager is literally the reason for many of you to be here. The reason why more than 80% of employees quit their jobs, and the reason for major health issues and conditions. So we don't usually give it a second thought. We don't usually think about bad management a lot until it happens to us. So when it happens to us, we start searching for information and for material on toxic boss signs, on what to do and ways to deal with them. So this is the video where you'll get some of the answers. Please go ahead and say hello in the chat. I would also love to hear about your experiences with bad managers, which I will of course address in the stream and in the comment section below. So if we haven't met before, I'm Marat from EMMOTION. I've worked in HR and in executive search for years, and here on this channel I help and contribute to your professional growth. I also help you with difficult situations at work. If you are not subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And most of you, if you are here, you've probably watched some of my previous toxic work environment related videos. In this video in concrete, I would like to focus on some of the key ways of coping and of dealing with a toxic manager. Many of those insights come really from my own experience, from everything which I've been learning while coaching professionals, and everything what I've been learning while communicating and discussing this issue with you. So let me say hello right back. Atsa, good to see you. Amy, hello. Sonia, hi there. Mark, hello. Sonia, I love you right back. Okay, so toxic managers, as I said, they can set you back in your career and in your life in general. And toxic bosses are really the origin of the bad working environment, of a toxic working environment. Why? Because many times they are the ones that install it in the first place, and they are the ones that keep promoting it. Maybe you love your job, maybe your company is or was great, your benefits were decent, but suddenly you get a new manager, suddenly you have a new manager assigned, and everything, all of that disappears, all of it changes completely. Even though you might have been a good employee, someone confident in your job, someone that knew exactly what you were doing, but that's already a history, because now everything you do is wrong. Everything all your approaches seem to be completely wrong. So that's why, and it's all down to a toxic manager that is right there. You have to deal with them daily. So that's why some of the strategies which I would like to advise you to stop being affected by this toxic boss and the whole toxic work environment, and to prevent really your own health and peace of mind from getting affected. I know it's complicated, but there is a way of doing it. It requires patience, and what's extremely important really, to keep searching for a job, to stick to searching for a job, to continue your job search, because the best possible way really of getting out of a toxic work environment is finding another position, is leaving that place as soon as you can. So I know that this option can't really be as easy for many of you. It's not that accessible for many of you. That's why I would like to also give you some of the tips and ways of dealing with these situations, because I understand that leaving a company, we always have obligations, we always have bills to pay. So that's why it could be a difficult thing for you to actually see right now, even though this is really the best option. So let me dive a few major advice which are going to make things more tolerable and more bearable while you work on your exit strategy. Okay, so the number one, the step one, the first advice would be delivering your results. Make sure you don't miss any of your deadlines. Make sure you deliver everything which is being required. Focus on your work and focus on finishing it the best way that you can. And also, make sure you keep your boss informed really on how the projects are going, because a lot of times we don't have a chance to communicate with this toxic boss, with this manager, but they will constantly request you things. They will constantly micromanage you on different tasks. So that's why make sure that you follow up. Inform them on every little progress that you might make. Send them emails, send them updates. Make sure if you can't get an access and talk to them, make sure you keep them informed on everything you do, and really stick to doing your job and being productive. Let me see what you guys are telling. Mark, my ex-boss would always threaten me with my job and say that this job isn't the right fit for me. She told me, let's remain friends after firing me but not passing the PIP. Thoughts? This is actually quite interesting, Mark, because it seems so fake, because this person basically set you up for a failure. This person basically helped you nothing, made your life miserable, and made sure that that your PIP was unsuccessful, because otherwise, a personal improvement plan, performance improvement plan is designed also to make your performance successful. So why eventually it turned into getting fired, and right now staying friends? Ridiculous, if you ask me. What do you think? So when I say that keep informing the toxic bosses, keep informing the managers on how things go, it's because many times these toxic bosses don't really care about your well-being at work. They don't really care about any negative impact that their behavior might have on you, on the department's productivity, on the team's productivity, but they might really care about the results, especially if these results make them look good in the eye of top management, especially when they can actually show off some of these results. They can get a credit for some of these results, some of your work and your department's work, because that's what the toxic bosses really love doing. So deliver those results, deliver what they want. Make sure you also document everything that you do, document all the deliverables that you turn in, and everything that all the workload that you are managing. Make sure you document it as well, so you can back up, so you can have some backup to your performance with some data, just in case if further on you are accused of not performing your job well, if further on you are accused of not delivering the work they've been requested. So make sure you are documenting this information and you have this data backed up. Because the idea, as I just said to Mark, many times these kind of managers, they really want you to fail. They really want to set you up for a failure, because this is going to make your situation worse, but it will make their job easier in terms of if they want to fire you, if they want to build a case against you, if they want to put you on a performance improvement plan. This is something that is going to work for them. If you are not doing your job properly, if you don't document everything that you do and all the results that you are achieving, if your performance eventually decreases, this is going to work for your manager's favor. This is going to be making their job easier, you know? I don't know, what are your thoughts on this? What do you think, Mark? Because do you think your manager was actually supportive during that PIP? And I see you've already said the PIP was not attainable. Yes, that's what I'm telling you. So once this first step is clear of delivering your results, of making sure that you do your best in terms of documenting also all the work that you do, the second advice would be don't descend on their level. Don't descend to their level. Don't stoop to their level, because when the toxic boss employs their passive aggressive behavior, when they do it because they also do it to provoke you in some way. They also think that you will try to return them the favor, and that's actually, it's extremely difficult not to do it, because we are tempted to return the favor and to confront them really with similar attitude, because this is a human nature. When we are being mistreated, our first reaction is basically to pay them back. But you know, there are several important problems when you are lowering yourself to such kind of behavior. First, your boss is always going to be right. Your boss is going to be right anyway, because he or she is the manager. So if you adopt a similar posture, they will get reinforced by their attitude, basically, because they will feel more legitimized. They will feel that that this is the way that they should continue doing, and they will like to feel that you are getting provoked and that you are basically reacting to their gaslighting or to the way that they mistreat you. They see the reaction, and they will their attitude is going to be reinforced. And aside from that, when you basically stoop to their level, when you pay them back, you also contradict your own values, you know, because if you contradict your own values, if you really do the same thing they do, you clearly behave in ways that you don't respect, you know, because they apply such passive-aggressive behavior as a response to perceiving you as a threat, you know, because for whatever reason, they feel that you are a threat to them. It could be due to your knowledge. It could be due to your years of experience. It could be due to you being really respected among your colleagues or among other managers. So it also could be because they are threatened by your future projection within the company, that they might see you as a competitor, as an enemy. So don't stoop to their level, as I said, because deep down, these toxic bosses really tend to be lonely. They tend to be deeply insecure. They tend to be constantly anxious. So the best thing that you can do really is to maintain your professionalism. Even though they are not professional with you, even though they are not treating you right, make sure you remain professional, because when it's between you and them, also remember that you are going to be the company's first choice to get terminated. Keep that in mind as well. Guys, if you haven't if you haven't liked the video, make sure you thumb up the video as well. And let me go ahead and see Lisa. Hello, everyone. Hello right back, Lisa. Great to see you again. David, in my workplace, there are so many dictatorial managers eating others alive. I hear ya, David. Tell me more about it. I think it would be interesting. Which is the one that really makes your well-being complicated at work? Okay, so the next step and the next advice on how to deal with these type of managers would actually require some mental effort, but I guarantee that it's going to be well worth it. So the step 3, the advice number 3 would be stop being afraid. I know it's easier said rather than done, but let me just put it into perspective, and let me just give you a few tools and ways of doing this. You know, I just said that growing a thick skin or confronting your bully boss by a similar attitude, by showing the same attitude in return, is not going to help your situation. Is definitely not helping your situations. And you know, I've read about this, and I've read some studies done on this, and studies really show that things even become worse, because when you try to fire back at your boss with similar attitude, things become worse. And anyone who really worked in a toxic work environment and with a toxic boss, they know what kind of impact these bosses can have on our life, on all the aspects of our lives really, and how bad it can get. And we don't really want this to get even worse. So make sure that it's time to regain your self-confidence and your self-esteem. And that happens when you stop being afraid. Because fear is what your boss wants you to feel. And fear is usually what makes them feel powerful. Believe me, they enjoy it, they feel powerful, and they actually feed off your fears. So it gives them the strength, and it gives them control over you. And aside, it is also extremely damaging for yourself, really, you know, because it's damaging for your health. So get rid of all the fear that you have. And the quick tip would be, each time that you feel afraid, each time that you feel that that you are in a scary situation, just think of the worst thing that would happen to you at work. What else can happen to you at work? Getting fired? I really like to put it as an example, because you've already experienced being bullied, you've already experienced being belittled and humiliated in front of maybe your colleagues. So what if you get fired? So what? So what if you get fired? This will definitely limit their control over your career and over you. You know, if you stop being afraid, if you stop really showing your fear, they won't be able to do more damage to you. And as I said, living in a constant state of fear is definitely not worth it, because fear can cause anxiety, because fear can cause important health conditions and really heart issues and severe depression really caused by anxiety as well. So stop being afraid. And the next major sign really for you to apply is to, and it's something that it's more or less easy to do, is to stop complaining about your boss at work. Not a word, zip it, and not a word to your coworkers. Because I've also read a lot about this. You know, we are tempted to complain about our boss, but complaining to your coworkers will make things even worse. Not only on an emotional level for you, but this information can also get to wrong people. just think about how frequent we make this mistake, because sometimes the toxic boss can be really toxic to others as well, to some of our colleagues as well. So it's only natural for us to seek allies. It's only natural for us to feel that we need to share this with others, but we don't realize how damaging this can be. Believe me, it's not your best intention. It's not in your best intentions to share it, because people talk, people gossip, and eventually the way that you've complained, or your complaints, will find a way to get to your manager, and this information will come back to bite you in return. So don't risk it. No matter how close you think your coworkers are to you or is to you, you still can't trust them to keep their mouth shut about something so delicate. Believe me. Have you experienced a colleague breaking your trust? I wonder what you would respond. I have. And I'm sure many of you have too. I can guarantee. Let me see. Marat, what are your thoughts on my ex-boss and senior colleague giving me verbal or informal PIP before the actual PIP? The informal PIP was never clear. Is that illegal or inappropriate? You know, the PIP, actually the performance improvement plan, this needs to be designed with time, and this needs to be designed together with you, really, because your manager needs to sit down with you, needs to discuss the aspects of your work that it's hard for you to manage, and then design the plan for you. So let me just, right after I finish this main part of the stream, I will definitely go back to that, Mark, and I will respond more in detail. So I was asking you about your colleagues, and I was asking you, and I already hear, and I already read, Mark is saying, yes, my close colleagues have broken my trust. No wonder. People who have been in toxic situation, they can really back it up, that your trust is broken. Toxic work environment really affects everyone. So you can't really trust your coworkers, unfortunately, especially with some really delicate information like the one, like complaining about your manager. So if you really want to talk to someone about it, if you really want to talk to your colleagues, or if you are tempted to talk to your colleagues, or if you really want to talk to someone, just generally someone about this situation, and make sure that you are listened and make sure that you feel better as well, find someone trusted and someone outside of your work circle, really. It could be someone from at home, some of your family members, or some of your friends, but outside of your working space, because for the same reasons, just as I said, because your coworkers are not the ones that you should be venting about this. Don't do it. The next advice also depends 100% on us. The next advice is really to stop blaming yourself. No matter how toxic bosses make you feel, really, no matter how passive-aggressive they might be towards you, no matter what they say about you, they might tell you that you are incompetent, they might tell you that you don't work well, they might threaten to fire you, they might tell you that you are not good enough, but you are not. I mean, just make sure that you don't really absorb these words. This is not your fault. So stop blaming yourself. There is nothing that you can possibly do in this situation to be successful. And the only thing you can do really is to get out of there and to get out of this situation. So instead of blaming yourself, just take responsibility, Take responsibility for choosing to stay there longer, and take responsibility for doing this, but without blaming yourself. And also knowing that you are there temporarily, that this is a temporary solution, because each time you blame yourself, you are actually sabotaging yourself. And whenever we blame ourselves, we attract mistreatment. We attract this negativity. And we are limiting our chances for a well-deserved future, which we definitely deserve, which everyone deserves a good future, a positive professional environment. So don't blame yourself. You will get out of this toxic situation, but your toxic boss will remain toxic. They will remain toxic because their life circumstances made them that way, really, and it's not your fault. And also the next advice is also quite related, is to stop expecting them to change. This is really a key, and it's something I wish I knew that as well at that point, because when we expect them to change, when we don't when we have these expectations, it really works against us. Don't try giving them any feedback. Don't try to help them improve or to make sure that they change attitude, because as I said, toxic bosses will remain toxic. And as I said, they've been toxic long before you've met them, long before they've started working at your company. So it's never really your responsibility try to change them or to convince them that they are wrong, to convince them that they shouldn't be doing this, they shouldn't be treating people like this. This is not your responsibility, really. It's not going to work. It's never going to work, because these people won't ever take any constructive feedback well. Some of you, if you've already tried this, you probably know that they don't take any feedback well, especially if it's constructive. Unless you basically tell them how great they are not taking negative feedback or any constructive feedback well. And since they will never accept to change, you shouldn't fall into the false hope that they will be changing. That at some point they will shift their focus on something else or on someone else. That's not going to happen. If maybe temporarily they've shifted their focus on something else or on someone else, that's only temporary. You have to know that it's only temporary, and that will pass. They will focus their attention on you again. So that's why don't lower your guard and don't expect them to change. Let me see what you guys are telling. Atsa, Marat, what are the red flags for you when you evaluate candidates during your interviews? I will definitely come back to that once we finish the stream. Lisa, I talked to my boss about her poor coverage of my performance. He suggests me to fix the relationship with her. Set up meeting, tell her how much I did, and ask for feedback. She doesn't understand or care about business, about every business here. It's going to be a waste of time. I'm so reluctant. True, if they listen, they wouldn't have been toxic. Exactly, Lisa. And what do you mean? I want to talk to my boss about her poor coverage, but he suggests you to fix the relationship with her. Who suggests you to fix your relationship with her? So maybe you mean someone from top management, and your boss basically tells you to talk to your supervisor or to your other manager. In any case, as I said, they are not going to change. They will maybe stop at a certain point to do what they do towards you, but immediately they're going to, if they are being a bully, if they are being toxic in the department, Nothing is going to stop them from doing this again and from changing this attitude, really. So, David, basically they dump their stuff on others, steal the achievement, and pretend to be high performers. And on one thing that annoys me is they are quite political as well. Yes, toxic bosses are quite political, believe me. And I know exactly what you mean, David, because they will try to come across as someone nice, as someone that that the top management really values, because they will think that this person would do the right leadership within the department, and they know how to manipulate people. They definitely know that. That's how they get where they get to. But what the top management doesn't realize is the way that treating the employees like garbage will eventually have negative impact on companies' results. Sooner or later, good people will leave, and that's something that they don't realize. Let me see. Lisa, it's the boss of my boss. Thank you for responding to my question. You are very welcome, Lisa. Okay, now it's more clear. So basically, the boss of your boss, it tries to fix the situation by advising you to talk to your direct boss, to your direct supervisor. But you already know that this is not going to get you anywhere, because you can't change this person, really. Especially if you've tried for a while delivering your results, doing your job the best way that you can, but you still get this kind of treatment from your boss. I doubt they would really change their way of approaching the situation. But what I would really advise you, and I think it's something that you could take from this advice, is to make sure that you follow up on things that you do, that your direct boss wouldn't be able to tell to your higher supervisor that you are not doing your job properly. Make sure that this is documented, and make sure that you deliver the results that they want. Okay, so let me continue further. So coming to this, the next advice, the number 7 would be really focus on doing your job, as I said before. And what's really important, drop your ego. I know this is hard in certain situations. It's hard to drop your ego, but it is really going to help you out. Just think strategically about what is the best way for you to do your job, Think about it and focus on doing it the best way that you can. Try to block your ego really from reacting to this kind of negativity, and raise above it, really. You don't need to react to it. This is the way for your toxic manager also to get more encouraged, as I said, when they see your reaction. So the best way to disarm them, is to stop reacting. If they get zero reaction from you, if they see zero reaction from your side, when they provoke you, when they gaslight you, they might actually be confused and maybe even stop at some point. At least stop doing certain things which they don't get a reaction from you. So instead of absorbing the negativity and reacting to it, just make sure it passes over you. It passes over you into different direction, but you don't absorb it. So keep doing a good job. As I said, no matter what you do a good job, document this information and your communication with your manager. You never know when you might need it, and you never know if at a certain point you might need to build your case. So make sure you document all this communication with your manager as well. And this brings us to the next point. Let me see your comments, guys. Guys and girls. Let me see. Lisa, thank you for responding to my question. You are very welcome. Just as I said, on a side note, David, I'm in the beauty industry. Okay, I hear you, David, because it's a complicated industry. It's a very competitive industry, and it requires a lot of patience. So applying the advice that I provide is going to help and ease the pain, believe me, because I've been working in retail industry myself, which is a similar way of, let's say, fast-paced environment. So I know what you mean. Lisa, you are so knowledgeable and smart. You are a prophet. Oh, that is really kind of you, Lisa. Thank you so much. I don't feel like one, but I've experienced everything that I'm discussing and everything that you guys are telling me. So that's why I have been there. I've done that. So it's easier to comment, and it's easier to have a perspective in it once you are outside, once you are out of the toxic workspace. Believe me. David, we call them, oh my God, ladies. 100 blades. But that is pacifism, right? The situation won't change and the boss will continue to do the same things to you. Yes, 100 blades, but because you have your goal, and your goal should be getting out of that place as soon as you can, believe me, because whatever you do, before getting fired and before really being interrupted, this is the worst that, as I said, that it might happen to you, that being fired by your manager, by your boss. Since we don't exactly want that situation happen before having something else lined up. So this is going to make your life easier, believe me. The way that you approach this situation needs to be with the less reaction, as little reaction as you can. Myself, I couldn't do it either, because I was being provoked and I reacted to such kind of behavior. But the more I read about this, the more people I spoke to about this, the easier and the clearer things got, really. And I really realized some of the things that I did wrong, which is why I try to make sure that I prevent others from doing this, 100 blades. But tell me more about it. What would you think that confronting them helps them out? Let me see here. Lisa, thank you so much for your generosity. Lisa, I appreciate it. Mark Blanco, also, thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate it. So this brings me to our next point. The next point that I would like to discuss with you really is maybe it could also be called as not reacting, but again, this is going to make your life so much easier. I guarantee that. So learn to stop caring. Learn to stop caring, guys, because instead of caring so much about how your boss behaves, instead of caring about their reaction, about their way of treating you, focus on taking care of yourself. Believe me, this is really the key. You are experiencing emotional distress on a regular basis, and that takes toll on you both physically and mentally. I know I've been there. I know I've been there. I've done that. I've experienced it, and I've experienced really the changes in my health. I haven't really shared it except with some of the closest people, really. But I had difficulties in terms of my health, provoked by this toxic situation, provoked by this toxic work environment that I needed to put up with. And really some of my physical aspect really changed as well. when I tell you, I don't really want to go deeper because I think I don't really want to feel, because remembering it and really victimizing yourself is never going to help. But as soon as you realize that you are getting affected in terms of your health, that your health is being influenced and your health is being affected, you need to stop caring. You need to stop caring about your boss, about your work environment. Forget about doing longer hours. Forget about overworking, because this is something that I was my mistake, because instead of really stopping to care, I kept trying and trying and trying. I tried to push myself to do everything I could to make sure that I would get a positive reaction from this manager. And really what I needed to do is to stop caring, as I'm telling you to do it right now. Because these people will never be satisfied. This toxic manager will never be satisfied. No amount of work or working hours will make things or their way of behaving better. So why do you have to care? Just stop caring. And you know, really, the easiest way of doing it, and the easiest way of stopping to care is just to think that this is temporary, that there will be other managers, there will be other leaders that will be an example for you in the future. There will be other jobs that will require that extra effort, those long hours. This toxic boss and this toxic work environment doesn't require this effort. They do not really require you to work overtime, to push yourself to the limit. They do not require for you to get all stressed and feel anxious, and your anxiety, really, your health is not worth it, really. It's not worth the toll on your health. This situation and this company and this manager is not worth it. So focus on taking care of yourself, enhance those positive aspects of your life, you know, because if you just treat the way that you could stop caring as well, if you just treat this job as a job to cover your expenses and to pay your bills and nothing more. And you know, there will be other jobs, and there will be a job that you really enjoy, but this one is not the job that you should sacrifice yourself for. So treat it this way while you work on your exit strategy, or the exit strategy could also be moving to another department. For example, Lisa, you mentioned that you've actually spoken to your upper management, to your manager's manager, to your boss's boss. So maybe there is a way for you to move to another department, to move away from this kind of manager. Is that an option for you? So if this is an option, that's great, because your company, as I said, your company could be a good place to be. But if you can't move to another department, if you don't have any other way for you to really escape the situation, you should find an entirely new position somewhere else. Take charge of your career, take charge of your well-being, because nobody else is going to do this for you. Nobody else is going to take care of you. So brush up your resume, improve your LinkedIn profile, keep improving your skills, your competencies. You will get better at your job search. And this is also some of the things that I do on my channel. I help you guys with your job search. So take a look at some of the videos, or just learn more about the job search, read about the job search, prepare for the job interviews. You will find a way to get out of there, and you will find a way to change your situation for better. Let me see what you guys are telling. 100 Blades, I agree, keep your head down and look for another job. Yes, you can also keep your head up and look for another job. But make sure you don't react. Make sure you don't give them this power over you, because I used to misunderstand the concept of giving them power, because I thought that nobody should really mistreat me, because I don't deserve this, because nobody deserves this kind of treatment. It's true, it's all true. But when you are in this situation, your approach, your way of approaching the situation as giving them this constant reaction, giving them this constant negative reaction because you feel unwell, you are not really yourself. You feel also that your self-confidence is not on the same level as it was before. So all of that is going to generate this negativity that you basically give this person in return, and it's eventually going to turn against you, because the negativity attracts more negativity in return. I know that, and I think everybody knows that. So just don't give them any reaction at all. Just stick to doing your job the best way that you can, and also, as I said, without overworking, without pushing yourself too hard, but make sure that you protect yourself. Make sure that you protect your well-being with all these tips that I've mentioned. And also, in conclusion, I would really like to mention karma, because, as I said, negative attracts negative energy attracts negativity. So your boss will also get what they deserve. Your boss is going to get what is coming to them, and it's not really your responsibility to contribute to that. It isn't really your responsibility to make sure that they pay for what they've done. Focus on yourself, on feeling better, on making sure that you also have things to do outside of work, things that would make you happy, that would keep you motivated outside of work, and make sure that you get out of that place without looking back as soon as you can, basically. Okay, and I finished my rant. So now go ahead. If you have any other questions, go ahead, please ask me, and I will continue to the questions that I've been asked by some of you. Let me just go ahead and read it in the chat. Okay, so Mark, this is the question that you asked about PIP. The question that you asked, the informal PIP was never clear. Is it illegal or inappropriate? And I would also like to hear about the colleagues breaking your trust, Mark. If you can tell this, if you can really share, I think it would be interesting really to have an insight on that as well. The PIP is a way for the company to document the situation, to document that you are not performing well, that you are not that you are not achieving your goals. So basically, it is a way for your manager to justify that they are going to fire you and to justify your termination. So that's why the PIP needs to be well defined and needs to be defined together with you as well, to make sure that you know what is your situation and to make sure that you work on it. And if you don't work on your situation, if you don't really work on improving your situation, this is not considered a PIP. This is not considered a performance improvement plan. And it's really illegal to say that they've done certain trainings or they've done certain supervision over you if they haven't done it. So make sure, if you are already out of the company, but you probably have some of the documents they've sent you while your termination, because it was probably linked to that PIP. Just read them over and see what's written there, what they are telling you, and you will understand if it's done right and well or if it's not. Okay, so let me go ahead and see the next question I had also. I'm going through the chat to make sure that I respond to everything that I've been asked. The dictatorial managers. Yes, you know, this is something that David mentioned, and I think it's interesting because toxic managers are really a bit like a dictator, because they are so narcissistic. They don't really want to hear anybody else. They don't really want to hear any feedback. They only care about themselves, and they only care about their own ego, constantly making sure that they are bigger, that they are more important than others. So if it's a competition also between managers, that's basically extremely toxic, as you probably know. So the sooner you are out of this kind of environment, the better it is for your well-being, David. Okay, so Atsa have been asking about the red flags for you when you evaluate the candidate during interviews. Okay, this is an entirely different topic, but I think it would be interesting also. As I mentioned, the ways that we can evaluate as candidates, the way that the company comes across, and the way that your manager, your potential manager comes across. For me, while I evaluate candidates, some of the things that I look into, some of the things that are really important for me is what kind of first impressions these candidates give me. Because if I see that the candidate is not being genuine, that's a huge red flag. If I see that the candidate is not being authentic, trying to really give me the answers taken straight from the textbook, that already screams a red flag. I appreciate candidates that are authentic, and I really can deal with candidates that try to take credit for somebody else's work, try to come across as somebody they are not. And of course, the lack of preparedness as well. It's so easy just to read about the company or to read about the interview you are going to do, to get prepared about people that you are going to be interviewing with. Sometimes a candidate can basically underperform, and they don't have enough time to prepare for an interview. It's completely understandable, but it means that the candidate didn't do enough for the interview. For me, it's that. Because also complaining about their last job, that is also one of the red flags. When the candidates complain about their last job, even if your last job or your last manager was horrible, you can't complain about them during your job interview. That immediately sends a negative signal, and that immediately signals that you are a complicated candidate to deal with, even though your intention might not be that. But your job interview is definitely not the place to bring up the issue of toxic work environment that you've dealt with at your previous company. I don't know if that makes sense, Atsa. If it does, let me know. If not, then go ahead and ask me your further question. So let me see. I have 100 Blades just said. Anthony, watching from Romania, thank you for your advices. Thank you so much, Anthony. Great to read you, and thank you for saying hello. Srina Rava, I got the same advice from another close person. Just don't react. Thanks, Marat. You are very welcome. I'm glad that you agree as well. It's also quite easy to say don't react, but if you really apply some of the advice that I've given in this video, it's a lot easier, because you know, you have the tools to make sure that you don't react the way that your manager, the way that this toxic person expects you to react. Sparky Themes, greetings all. Sparky Themes, I'm so glad to see you here. So glad that you've joined in. Mark, my colleagues would tell my ex-boss different things that I did or did not do during the business trip, and they never backed me up or support my work effort. That's the thing. You know, we can't really know what kind of agenda our coworkers might have, because I also felt that some of my colleagues, some of my ex-colleagues were quite close to me, and I thought that I could trust them. But eventually I found out that some of the things that we've been speaking about, that some of the things that we've spoken, they eventually ended up in somebody else's mouth. I don't know if you understand what I'm telling. Basically, somebody else mentioned something that I've said to only one person, and that really gave me a difficult time. So that's why my advice would be not sharing anything with your colleagues about your manager, because eventually it's going to come back to you, and eventually it's going to bite you back, not in the best way. So let me go ahead and see. Lisa, thank you so much, Lisa. I appreciate your generosity. Hello right back, and thank you very much. Great analysis here. My only option is to look for a new job. I'll stop working so hard and caring so much. I'll put the time and energy into the job search instead. Exactly, Lisa. You know why? Because you need to be in a state, and it's something that I mentioned in some of my previous videos. First, you need to get to a state where you feel confident and where you feel that you can search for a job the best way, and really your self-confidence is back and you can project it during your job search. Because you know, when we are being evaluated by another company, if we are not self-confident, if we don't feel good about ourselves, if we are so affected by the toxic boss and by the toxic work environment, this is going to be reflected on our job search, and this is going to be reflected during our job interviews. So that's why the advice that I've given in this video is going to help you to protect yourself and your well-being, really. So you can regain your confidence while job hunting, and this immediately going to bring its results. You will see. Mr. T, what about HR? Can we talk to them? Okay, Mr. T, good that you've joined in, and thanks for your question. And I think, you know, I've been part of an HR department for so many years, and I've worked in HR for my pretty much my whole career. So I know that HR is not the person for you to discuss this, because HR's goal and HR's, let's say, idea of dealing with this is to make sure that it doesn't become a bigger issue. So as long as they can sweep it under the carpet, they will do it. And if it eventually comes between you and your manager, the company will definitely choose your manager over you. Unless it's a really complicated issue, unless we are speaking about harassment or something really that you could have a clear evidence for, and that you can bring this evidence to HR. If it's not that, I would not advise you to talk to HR, because HR, unfortunately, is not your friend. HR's best interests are basically keep things working smooth in the company, and the less problematic the situation is, the better. So I don't know what is your situation exactly, but usually it's not helping speaking to HR about it. Okay, Sparky Themes, Lisa Bisa, that's a very good thing to do for yourself. Exactly, Sparky Themes. and it's good to see some of your advice as well. This is something that we do for ourselves. And I think Sparky Themes, you've also been in a more complex situation, and I think it has improved over the past weeks. The better we feel about ourselves, the better that we feel about our self-esteem, and the more protected we are from this negativity affecting us, the better are the results of our job search, and the better is our life, our quality of life in general. Atsa, I completely agree. Thanks, Marat. You are very welcome, Atsa. I hope that interview goes well, by the way. Lisa, I'm going to study now. Have a great week. Have a great week to you as well. And thank you very much for joining me in, Lisa. And I hope you apply some of the advice that we've discussed in this video. Okay, so as I said while finishing the main part of the advice I've been giving you in this video, think karma. Karma is definitely going to bite them back. Is definitely coming back to your boss. And some of you, those of you who are not in that toxic situation, you've probably heard how things went down in the company and how things went down for your manager, for your ex-manager. And I can tell you that in my situation, I can tell you that the karma did its job, and it will do it again and again, because these people will get what they deserve. These people will get what's coming to them. It's not your responsibility really to take, to contribute into that. Even, you know, I can't tell you that I feel happy about my ex-boss, not at all. I just know that it's something that they deserve, and they received exactly what was coming to them. And this is why apply the advice that I've given to you about basically not caring, caring as little as possible, delivering your results really, about not stooping to their level, not being afraid really. Also thinking about the worst thing that what is the worst thing that could happen to you, because it would help you, it's going to help you to stop being afraid as well, because the worst thing really is getting fired. And so bring it on, you know, as long as you stop caring and stop being afraid. So Sparky Themes, I can attest to karma working. Things always show themselves with time. Exactly. And I'm glad that you agree, Sparky Themes. So, as I said, if you want to talk to someone about this, go to someone outside of your workspace, because going and venting to your colleagues is not going to help, as I said, and it's going to turn against you, because believe it or not, your colleagues will have hard times to keep their mouth shut, and it's going to eventually turn against you. So don't tell anything to them. Don't complain to your colleagues. Stop expecting also your manager to change. Focus on yourself, on doing your job, and leave your ego aside. And as I said, stop caring about this company, about this position, about this toxic manager. And I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate this 1 hour of stream with you guys. It's been enjoyable as always. And as I said, if you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and thumb up the video. Make sure you like the video. It really helps my channel. I appreciate you staying with me till the end, and I hope to see you in my next video. Thank you very much. And I see that Atsa said, thank you, Sparky Themes. Yes, Sparky Themes always gives some good advice. Dave, oh my God, you came here, perfect timing. Okay, you should rewatch the stream, Dave. Make sure you rewatch the stream, because I'm already finishing, but it's good that you stopped to say hello. Serena, thumb up, that's great. Dave, I got gaslighted at work and left yesterday. Wow, so you already did, let's say, the most difficult part. At least you are out of that situation. So believe me, it is for better. And now it's time to reconstruct yourself and regain your confidence. Dave, I know it's going to go well for you. 100 Blades. Having an exit strategy is paramount. If we don't keep looking for other opportunities outside, we can feel trapped and it can lead to the worst possible outcome. Yes, 100 Blades. And believe me, also, the worst possible outcome is not that bad, is not that terrible. It's basically being left without job for a certain time, being fired. And I know it sounds like the end of the world. It sounds like an end of the world right now, but believe me, it's much better than putting up with a toxic work environment, and it's much better than letting it affect us. So thank you very much, everyone. 100 Blades, Dave, Serena, Adsa, Sparky Themes, Lisa, Mr. T, Mark Blanco, Anthony, David Choi, Amy Simmons, Sonia. It was great to see you guys. See you next week.